A massive council chamber stretched across 3 kilometers, its crystalline walls reflecting the light of 1,000 alien species. At the center, representatives from Earth stood in chains made of energy fields. Admiral James Walker kept his head high despite the humiliation. Beside him, Dr. Lisa Park and Captain Michael Torres watched as the Galactic Council pronounced their judgment. "The human species has proven too dangerous," the Supreme Judge declared. Its tentacled form pulsed with bioluminescent patterns. "Your rapid technological advancement, your unpredictable nature, and your refusal to submit to galactic law leaves us no choice." The charges were false, Walker knew. Humanity had been framed. The attack on the Krex mining colony wasn't their doing, but proving innocence meant nothing when the galaxy's most powerful races wanted humans gone. "You are hereby exiled beyond the dark barrier," the judge continued. "No human vessel may cross back into civilized space. Any attempt will result in immediate destruction." The dark barrier was a region of space where physics itself seemed broken. Ships that entered rarely returned. It was less an exile and more a death sentence. Population of 12 billion was given 1 solar cycle to evacuate. The alien armada surrounded the solar system, watching as humanity packed their entire civilization into colony ships. Families were torn apart. Children cried as they boarded vessels heading into the unknown. Scientists frantically downloaded databases trying to preserve human knowledge. Captain Torres commanded one of the military escorts, the Battleship Thunder. It was humanity's finest warship, equipped with experimental shields and weapons that had made even the Krex nervous. Perhaps that was the real reason for exile. Feared out as the last human ship crossed into the dark barrier, the aliens activated massive gravitational generators. Space itself twisted, creating an impenetrable wall. The message was clear. Humanity would never return, but the aliens had made one mistake. They assumed the dark barrier would destroy or contain humanity. They never imagined humans would conquer it instead. The journey through the barrier was hell. Ships were pulled in different directions by gravitational anomalies. Some vessels simply vanished, crushed by forces beyond understanding. The Thunder's experimental shields held, but barely. Walker watched his displays as 30% of humanity's fleet disappeared in the first hour. Dr. Park worked frantically at her station. "Admiral, I'm detecting something unusual. The barrier isn't natural. It's artificial, created by technology millions of years old." "Can we survive it?" Walker asked. "If we adjust our shields to match these frequencies, maybe. But we need to transmit this to all ships now." The Thunder became humanity's lifeline. Its powerful transmitters sent Park's calculations to every human vessel. Ships adjusted their shields, and the losses stopped. After 3 days of nightmarish travel, they emerged on the other side, but what they found changed everything. The region beyond the barrier wasn't empty. It was filled with derelict ships, massive structures, and technology beyond imagination. This was a graveyard of ancient civilizations, races that had been exiled here over millions of years. Most had died, but their technology remained. "My God," Park whispered, scanning the alien ruins. "This technology is centuries ahead of anything in Council space. They've been throwing their problems here, never realizing what they were creating." Walker made a decision that would define humanity's future. "We don't just survive here. We thrive. We learn everything these ruins can teach us." The human fleet spread out, exploring the vast graveyard. They found automated factories still functioning after eons. They discovered databases with scientific knowledge the Council races had never imagined. Most importantly, they found weapons that made their current technology look primitive. 20 years passed. Humanity built cities inside massive derelict stations. They reverse-engineered alien technology, combining it with human innovation. The Thunder was upgraded with systems that defied the Council's understanding of physics. Its hull was reinforced, with metal that could withstand the star's core. Its weapons could crack planets, but Earth's children never forgot their home. They never forgot the injustice. And when they were ready, they would return, not as exiles begging for mercy, but as a force that would reshape the galaxy forever. Asterisk 25 years after humanity's exile, the dark barrier remained the galaxy's greatest security. The Council races had grown complacent, their military forces reduced, their vigilance relaxed. After all, nothing had ever returned from beyond the barrier. That changed on an ordinary Tuesday in Galactic Standard Time. The monitoring station near the barrier was staffed by a skeleton crew of Rex operators. Tech specialist Kron was half asleep, at his post when his sensors screamed warnings. The barrier was fluctuating, its gravitational fields distorting in impossible ways. "Commander, we have a problem," Kron called out, his forearms dancing across control panels. "The barrier is destabilizing in Sector 7. Commander Flux slithered over, his serpentine form coiling around the command chair. "Impossible. The barrier has been stable for 3 million years. Then they saw it. A single point of light pushing through the barrier like a needle through fabric. The gravitational forces that should have crushed any vessel were simply ignored. The light grew brighter, larger, until it emerged fully. The Thunder appeared in normal space, its hull gleaming with an otherworldly sheen. It was the same human battleship that had escorted the Exile fleet, but transformed. Its size had tripled. Strange geometric patterns covered its surface, pulsing with energy that made sensors malfunction. "Send the alert to Council Command," Flux ordered, his voice trembling. "The humans have returned." But the Thunder made no aggressive moves. It simply held position, broadcasting a single message on all frequencies. "The Galactic Council will convene in 72 hours to discuss terms. Attendance is not optional." The arrogance of it stunned the galaxy. A single human ship demanding the entire Council assemble? The Krex Empire, the most militaristic of the Council races, responded first. Admiral Gorth dispatched 50 warships to destroy the human vessel. Admiral Walker stood on the Thunder's bridge, watching the Krex fleet approach. His hair had grayed during the exile, but his eyes remained sharp. "They're sending their standard intimidation fleet. 50 ships, mixed cruisers, and destroyers." Captain Torres, now the Thunder's commander, smiled grimly. "Should we demonstrate the point defense systems? No, let them fire first. We want this on every news feed in the galaxy." The Krex fleet surrounded the Thunder and opened fire without warning. Thousands of plasma bolts and antimatter missiles streaked toward the human ship. Then something impossible happened. The attacks simply stopped existing a kilometer from the Thunder's hull, vanishing into tiny black holes that appeared and disappeared in microseconds. "Miniature singularity shields," Dr. Park explained from her science station. "We learned this from the Zereth ruins. Their civilization mastered gravity manipulation before they were exiled. The Krex fired for 10 minutes straight, depleting their ammunition reserves. The Thunder hadn't moved, hadn't returned fire, hadn't even raised traditional shields. It simply existed, untouchable and serene. Then Walker gave the order. One shot. Torres, disable their flagship. A single beam lanced out from the Thunder. It wasn't like any weapon the galaxy knew. The beam seemed to exist in multiple dimensions simultaneously, passing through the Krex flagship's shields as if they weren't there. The massive cruiser's power systems simply turned off. Life support remained, communications functioned, but every weapon, every engine, every defensive system went dead. The message was clear. We could have destroyed you, but we chose not to. The remaining Krex ships fled. Within hours, Every major civilization in the galaxy was mobilizing their forces. The Vrex Commonwealth, the Altarian Hegemony, the Zephyr Collective, all began gathering their fleets. But they also began talking. What had humanity found beyond the barrier? How had one species advanced so far in just 25 years? The thunder waited patiently as diplomatic channels erupted with activity. Some called for immediate military action. Others urged caution. A few forward-thinking ambassadors suggested something unprecedented, actually listening to what the humans had to say. Meanwhile, deep in council space, mysterious things began happening. Corrupt officials found their secret communications exposed on public networks. Hidden weapons facilities were revealed. Evidence of the frame-up that had led to humanity's exile suddenly appeared in news feeds. The humans hadn't just returned with superior technology. They had been watching, listening, learning about their enemies for years. Spy drones too small to detect, communication intercepts using quantum entanglement, infiltration methods that bypassed every security protocol. The galaxy was about to learn that exiling humanity hadn't removed a problem. It had created something far more dangerous. A human civilization with nothing left to lose and everything to prove. Asterisk. The Grand Assembly Hall had never been so tense. Representatives from 300 civilizations gathered, their various forms creating a bizarre tapestry of life. Some floated in water-filled tubes, others existed as pure energy, and many wore environmental suits to survive in the standard atmosphere. Admiral Walker entered alone, wearing a simple black uniform. No guards, no weapons visible, just one human walking into a room full of beings that had exiled his entire species. The boldness of it sent whispers through the crowd. "You dare return after your crimes?" Supreme Judge Czar stood, his tentacles writhing with agitation. The exile was permanent. Walker approached the speaking platform with measured steps. The exile was based on lies. "We've returned to present the truth." He activated a holographic display. The room gasped as classified documents appeared. Documents from the Krex Empire's own servers. They showed how the Krex had attacked their own mining colony, blamed humanity, and orchestrated the exile to eliminate a potential rival. Impossible. Admiral Gorth of the Krex stood, his scaled fists slamming the table. "These are fabrications." "And explain this," Walker continued. The hologram showed security footage from the colony attack. Krex soldiers wearing stealth suits, planting evidence, executing their own civilians. The timestamp and quantum signatures proved it was authentic. The hall erupted in chaos. The Vrex ambassador coiled in shock. The Altarians flickered between colors of distress. Even species allied with the Krex looked disturbed. But Walker wasn't finished. More evidence appeared. Corruption throughout the council, secret alliances, hidden atrocities. Every major power had sins exposed. The humans had been busy during their exile, using technology from the ancient ruins to pierce every firewall, decrypt every message, uncover every secret. "You exiled us to hide your own crimes," Walker said, his voice carrying over the noise. "But we found something beyond the barrier you never expected." The hologram shifted, showing the vast graveyard of ancient technology. Derelict ships, the size of moons, structures that defied physics, databases containing millions of years of knowledge. Every species you've exiled over the eons left their mark there. The Zereth, the Dominion, the First Builders, all thrown away because they threatened your power. We learned from them all. Ambassador Vera of the Neutral Epsilon Federation stood. She was one of the few who had opposed humanity's exile. "What do you want, Admiral? Revenge?" "Justice," Walker replied, "and change. The council system is broken. It serves only the powerful while crushing anyone who might challenge them." "And if we refuse?" Czar asked, though his voice had lost its earlier confidence. Walker smiled. It wasn't a pleasant expression. Then we reveal everything. Every crime, every secret deal, every hidden atrocity. Your civilizations will tear themselves apart from within. You're blackmailing the entire galaxy? Gorth snarled. We're offering you a choice. Reform or revelation. But the thunder had already begun broadcasting on public channels. Citizens across the galaxy were seeing snippets of the evidence. Protests began on 1,000 worlds. The carefully maintained order was cracking. Some council members saw the writing on the wall. Ambassador Vera was the first to speak. The Epsilon. Federation moves to hear humanity's full proposal. Others joined her. The smaller civilizations, the ones who had suffered under the Council's authority, began to side with humanity. They saw an opportunity for real change, but the old powers wouldn't yield easily. The Krex, the Vrex Commonwealth, and 3 other major civilizations formed a war bloc. They would destroy humanity before accepting reform. So be it, Walker said as the session ended in chaos. We offered peace. Remember that. As he left the hall, Dr. Park contacted him through quantum communication. Admiral, they're mobilizing. The war bloc is gathering their fleets. How many ships? 8,000 and climbing. They're calling in everything. Walker reached the Thunder's docking bay where a shuttle waited. And our status? The Thunder stands ready. But Admiral, we're still just one ship. No, Walker corrected. We're humanity, and we have something they don't. Superior technology? Purpose. They fight to maintain power. We fight for justice. History shows which motivation wins. As the Thunder departed the station, war fleets began gathering. The galaxy was choosing sides. Some stood with the old order. Others saw humanity as liberators. The real battle was about to begin. Not just of weapons and ships, but of ideas. The question was whether the galaxy was ready for the change humanity represented. Asterisk. The Combined War Fleet was the largest military gathering in galactic history. 8,000 ships from 5 major civilizations formed a wall of metal and energy near the dark barrier. Admiral Gorth commanded from his super dreadnought, confident in overwhelming firepower. One ship against 8,000, he told his fellow commanders through the communication network. The humans have grown arrogant in their exile. The Thunder approached slowly, deliberately. On its bridge, Admiral Walker studied the tactical display. They formed a standard envelope formation. They planned to surround us. Captain Torres was running final checks. Singularity shields at maximum. Dimensional weapons charged. Should we call for backup? Not yet. We need to make a statement. The war fleet opened fire at maximum range. Space itself seemed to burn as tens of thousands of weapons discharged simultaneously. Beams, missiles, plasma bolts, and exotic weapons the Krex had kept secret all converged on the Thunder. Then the impossible happened again. The attacks hit the singularity shields and simply ceased to exist. The miniature black holes swallowed, energy and matter alike, growing stronger with each absorbed attack. Phase 2, Walker ordered. The Thunder's hull began to shift, revealing weapon ports that hadn't been there before. The ship was transforming, unfolding like a metallic flower. Its true size became apparent, not 3 times the original, but 10 times. The humans had hidden its real dimensions in folded space. Fire, Walker commanded. Beams of twisted space lashed out. They didn't travel through normal dimensions, but took shortcuts through higher mathematics. A Vrex battleship simply stopped existing, its atoms scattered across parallel universes. A Krex cruiser aged 1,000,000 years in seconds, crumbling to dust. But the Thunder wasn't just attacking randomly. Each shot was precisely calculated to disable, not destroy. Power cores were surgically removed from spacetime. Weapon systems were aged beyond use. Engines were shifted slightly out of phase, making them useless in 10 minutes. 300 ships were neutralized without a single casualty. The war fleet adapted, spreading out, trying new tactics. They launched fighters, deployed mines, even attempted to ram the Thunder with automated vessels. Nothing worked. The human ship seemed to exist partially outside normal space, untouchable, yet able to strike at will. Then something unexpected happened. New signatures appeared on sensors, not from normal space, but emerging from the dark barrier itself. 1 ship, then 10, then 100. The Exiled had returned. These weren't human vessels. They were ships from species banished long ago, civilizations the Council had forgotten. The Zereth came in vessels of living metal. The Dominion arrived in ships that bent reality around them. Others were so alien that sensors couldn't properly interpret them. Did you think we were alone beyond the barrier? Walker broadcast to the war fleet. Every species you've exiled, every civilization you've discarded, they survived, they thrived, and they remember. The returned exiles didn't attack. They simply positioned themselves alongside the Thunder, a growing fleet of impossibilities. Their message was clear. Humanity wasn't alone in its grievance. Admiral Gorth watched his tactical display with growing horror. His sensors counted 500 returned ships, each one employing technology that shouldn't exist. His fleet still outnumbered them, but numbers meant nothing against such advancement. Some of his allies were already wavering. The Altarian ships began pulling back. The Zephyr Collective requested permission to withdraw. The Alliance was cracking. Then Dr. Park revealed humanity's masterstroke. Admiral, we're ready to demonstrate the Liberation Protocol. Walker nodded, broadcasted. Every ship in the war fleet suddenly received a data packet. It contained something extraordinary, the complete technical specifications for singularity shields and dimensional travel. The secrets of surviving the dark barrier, freely given. Why? Gorth demanded over communications. Why give us this technology? Because, Walker replied, we're not your enemies. The system that exiles entire species, that maintains power through fear, that's the enemy. Take this knowledge, share it. Let every species know they don't need to fear exile anymore. The political implications were staggering. If any species could survive beyond the barrier, if the exiled could return, then the Council's ultimate threat was meaningless. Their power structure would collapse. Some ships began downloading the data immediately. Others hesitated, torn between loyalty and opportunity. The smaller civilizations in the fleet, those who had joined out of fear rather than conviction, made their choice. They turned their ships around and left. The war fleet was dissolving, and not a single shot had been fired in anger. Asterisk. 6 months after the Battle of the Dark Barrier, the galaxy had transformed beyond recognition. The old council structure had collapsed, replaced by something unprecedented, the Unified Assembly, where every species had equal voice regardless of military might. Admiral Walker stood in what had once been the Supreme Judge's chamber, now converted into a museum. Artifacts from exiled civilizations lined the walls, each telling a story of injustice overcome. The integration is proceeding smoothly, Dr. Park reported, joining him. 17 more species returned from beyond the barrier this week. The Zereth are sharing their medical technology, the Dominion their agricultural techniques. Through the massive windows, they could see the new reality. Ships of impossible designs moved freely through what had been restricted space. The dark barrier still existed, but now it had gates, doorways that anyone could use. It had transformed from a prison into a gateway to infinite possibilities. Captain Torres entered, carrying a datapad. The Krex Empire formally surrendered their military authority this morning. Admiral Gorth himself signed the treaty. It hadn't been easy. Some had fought the change, clinging to old power structures. But when given the choice between evolution and extinction, most chose to adapt. The technology humanity shared had made war obsolete anyway. Why fight when singularity shields made attack pointless? Why conquer when dimensional travel made resources infinite? What about Earth? Walker asked. The restoration is ahead of schedule. The damaged cities are being rebuilt with Zereth bioarchitecture. The oceans are being cleaned using Dominion purification systems. In 5 years, no one will be able to tell we were ever gone. But humanity hadn't returned as conquerors or rulers. They had returned as teachers, showing the galaxy a better path. The hoarded knowledge beyond the barrier was shared freely. Technologies that had been suppressed for millions of years were distributed to all dot. The real revolution wasn't technological, it was philosophical. The idea that power should be shared, not hoarded. That diversity made civilizations stronger, not weaker. That exile and exclusion only created future problems. Ambassador Vera approached them, her form shimmering with satisfaction. The first graduates from the Unified Academy are ready. Humans learning Vrex philosophy, Krex studying human creativity, Alterians teaching quantum mathematics to everyone. And the response? Walker asked. Beyond our best projections. Young beings from every species are embracing cooperation. The old prejudices are dying with the old system. Not everyone was happy with the changes. Former Supreme Judge Zarhad retreated to his homeworld, bitter about his lost authority. Some military leaders plotted in secret, dreaming of restoring the old order. But they were relics now, fighting against the tide of history. A thunder still orbited nearby, a reminder of humanity's power, but it was no longer needed as a weapon. It had been converted into a training vessel, teaching the physics of dimensional travel to engineers from 100 worlds. We've received an interesting message, Park said, pulling up a hologram. From deep beyond the barrier. There are civilizations out there that have been in exile for millions of years. They've evolved beyond physical form, become pure consciousness. What do they want? Torres asked. To watch. To see if we can succeed where they failed. They tried to change the galaxy through force, and were exiled for it. We're trying through example. Walker nodded slowly. Then we'd better not disappoint them. A young human officer approached, accompanied by a Krex youth. They were part of the new exchange program, learning to work together from childhood. Admiral, the memorial is ready for unveiling. They followed the pair to the central plaza. A massive monument stood there, listing every species that had been unjustly exiled over the millennia. Millions of names and thousands of languages. Testament to the cost of fear and prejudice. Walker was asked to speak. He kept it simple. We were exiled as criminals and returned as teachers. We found horror beyond the barrier and transformed it into hope. The galaxy thought it was disposing of problems, but it was actually planting seeds. Today, those seeds bear fruit. The age of exile is over. The age of unity begins. Not because we force it, but because we choose it. Every species, every being, every voice matters. That's not human philosophy. That's universal truth. As he spoke, ships continued emerging from the dark barrier. Each one brought new knowledge, new perspectives, new possibilities. The galaxy was growing larger and smaller simultaneously. Larger in scope, smaller in division. Humanity's exile had been intended as an ending. Instead, it became a new beginning for everyone. Asterisk.